All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Again, my name is Scott, and for today's webinar, we're going to do new company creation and setup. This is not designed more for new deployment in a GP environment from scratch if you've never used it before. The situation that I've seen a couple of times here is you'll want to create a new company in GP because your business is splitting, you're opening up different locations, or a companies were acquired. And this will kind of give you this know-how on how to not only create that new company within GP so you can select it, but set up who can access it, as well as bring in a lot of the framework information, vendors, customers, accounts, and the like here. And again, this isn't the test company. This is like if a candy store, acquired a down the street mom pop shop, and they merge and want to keep their record separate for accounting purposes here. It's actually relatively easy to do here, and we'll just kind of walk you through it here. And again, what we'll do is we'll go through the slide presentation, and then we will, and then I'll kind of walk you through it through one of our demonstration systems here. If you do have any questions, please feel free to type them into the questions field. I do have everyone on mute, and I will periodically check that throughout the presentation. I'll be happy to address your questions. All right, so the agenda today here is showing you how to create the new company database in SQL, how to copy access to that new company. During that process, populating the framework data in the new company. When I say framework data, I mean like the stuff you generally see on the cards for the various modules, accounts, and the like. And then granting access to the new company within GP itself. And then, of course, at the end, I'll kind of give you the walkthrough. We won't actually create the new company because that process can take some time, and I don't want to have everybody on there where we just watch a little scroll bar go to the right. All right, in order to do this, you'll want to launch GP Utilities and log in with the SA credentials. It'll first prompt you that it's going to do a version check. Just keep clicking next until you get to this additional tasks menu here. If you create a new database, it's recommended that you launch utilities directly on the SQL server itself. That's just to help cut down on communication or network issues that may interrupt it. Better always limit what can go wrong here, so your chances of it going right are increased. All right. Make sure the drop-down menu says create a company, which it should default to. And then click on the process button, the one that I have highlighted in yellow there. The following information is required by the setup on this next screen. We'll get to that here. The database ID. For those of you that are familiar with SQL or SQL Management Studio, this is how the database appears under the database left on the navigation pane. And that has a 5-character limit. The company name is how it will appear in GP. So when you click on the drop-down to select the company, that's what you're seeing there is that company name, and that has a 64-character limit. All right, on the same menu, there are 3 optional setups. Load shipping methods and payment terms. That loads a default set of shipping methods and payment terms. Those are pretty much set in GP. There's a way to change that. Load a default chart of accounts. That's based on your business and industry type. And then copy access from another company. What you can do is if you're creating a new company, you want the same people to have access to it. Like I said, this is just for record-keeping purposes. It's separate. If you select this, it'll prompt you which company you want to select the access to. And then what they'll do is they'll copy it over for you. Please note that it will not let you do it for the Fabricam Test Company. TWO would be that database acronym for the World Online. But it will work for any other databases, including any test databases you may have in your system. If you do not wish to use the default shipping methods, payment terms, and the other information, there is actually a pistol tool that will copy those from one company into this new company. We did cover this in our previous pistol webinars, but we'll go over it again here today because this is a fabulous tool. Anytime somebody says we want it to look exactly the same, it's basically just create the company, hop in, run this tool, and it does a fantastic job. And here's what that screen setup looks like here. You can see the database company ID is just Scott, my test company, and I just show those checks to show what it looks like here. Corporation, bookkeeping, and accounting is the industry type. So the accounting firm is going to load the default accounts that it would expect most accounting firms to use. It may include some that aren't going to get used, and it may not include a lot here. It's entirely up to you, like I said, with the company copy tool, pardon me, we can usually skip those load default ones and make it go, but I would keep that access for the company here. All right, on the next menu, it's going to show you what the file names are called. Again, our SQL users out there may recognize MDF and LDF files. GP will automatically put GPS before the ID, then the ID created, and then DAT for the data and log for the log file. And that's just to identify them as GP SQL databases. It is kind of nice on the back end when we're working there. And there's the location that I'll show you, and it'll default the default location within SQL here. And you can certainly change that. So if you have your SQL data files on a separate drive, you can just click that little folder there, browse up to the new folder, click OK. And you can even edit the name here if you want to. Generally, I'd recommend leaving those, like I said. That lets us identify, oh, that's a GP database company. That's not anything else you're running that may use SQL. But you can certainly change the location and I'll add it to SQL there. All right, click Next. It'll review your database configuration. You can click back to go back and change the configuration as needed. Then after you click Next, it'll click Finish, and what it'll do is it'll launch the Create Database utility, and it'll actually create it. This process can take some time. A lot of factors are your server speeds and hardware like RAM and hard drive speed, the amount of workload on it. You have Management Reporter, GP, Key to Act, and a lot of other tools running there. It can slow down that process as well as the other ones running. So if you have limited speed or anything, it might be best to run it outside regular business hours. It'll improve the performance of the database creation, and then your users won't see that impact when they're actually trying to create the company during the same time. And that's just what that looks like here. And database name, the options, the shipping methods, and you can scroll down. It just displays all the settings you did here. And again, you can click back to go back and change it, like, oh, my company ID was supposed to be Scott with 1 T. I kind of accidentally did a typo there. Or anything like that, to go back, and then Finish will launch it, and then Cancel will just bring you out of this process back to that additional options menu where you can put the drop down. After creating the database, the last menu will show you is it'll say you'll have the option to set up the database later, or you can run Rapid Start. This requires eConnect for GP to be installed. And you can answer questions to populate the default framework data, or you can even run an import from an Excel spreadsheet or other Rapid Start project that may have been started elsewhere. This can be useful for a first-time setup, but like I said here, there are better ways if you're trying to import data, especially if you just want to make a duplicate of your current framework in the new company here. One thing I will note here, and I'll show you this later, is the Rapid Start, you can put in the transaction information to import. The tool, just like I said, just pulls over the cards. It does not pull over transactional data. So it'll pull over the accounts, but there will be no balances or no transactions showing there. And here's what the questionnaire looks like. You just go and click on it, and then double click on it. It'll bring up a series of questions. You just go down and answer the questions, and then when you run it here, it'll run it. To be honest, I've not actually seen this one used before, the Rapid Start. I haven't heard any bad things about it here, but one thing to note is the last code release that I have seen for this Rapid Start was GP 2013. It should work on the later versions. I have not tested that, but I have seen people confirming they've used it on the later versions of GP as well. So I don't know how much support this will have going forward. Like I said, it's not used very often. All right, and then as noted earlier, you can add the default information within GP, but there are two pistol tools that allow you to copy the data over. And then there's also one that if you want to maintain your list of accounts, customers, and vendors throughout all companies, there is well, technically it's 3 tools, but those 3 are all basically launched the same one in GP. So when you create it one, it automatically moves it over to the other, which is kind of nice if you want to keep that uniformity. That way you don't have to remember to go create the account in each separate company. All right, and this here is our pistol menu here. The company copy pistol tool is the one that allows you to do the framework data from one to the other automatically. There are a couple options here. I'll show them to you when we do launch it here. The report options will move the report configurations from the old company to the new one. That's like where how it's default printed destination screen file, whatnot, or if it's going to be shown at all. Ask every time. The data will move the data from the cards windows into the new company. As I stated earlier, it doesn't move the transactional information to the destination company. And then you want to select the modules you want to move the above for. There are some prerequisites that will automatically select for you. We'll kind of go over those here in the future too. One thing to note is this tool does delete the data at the destination company before it loads it. So if you did load a default or you did any work here, and all of a sudden you decide you just want to move the rest over, this tool will delete everything. So if you want to save yourself some time, just run this, and then you should be good to go. And then here's what it looks like. Here you see the data and the report options in the middle of the screen. Then here's all the modules. On the test system here, I don't have manufacturing or project accounting salt, so it's just grayed out. That's your company, and that's not changing the company name and all that. But that's just some of the company setup information, the financial, your inventory, cards, fixed assets, multi-currency. That brings that all over and can save a lot of time. A lot of times what we will see people do is we just want, the accounts to be the same. They're going to maintain separate customer lists. So a lot of times we'll just come in here and do data and financials and just pull that over. That's probably the most common configuration I've seen on this, because that'll pull all those accounts over for you. In addition, if you want to maintain that mirroring between all of yours, there's 3 tools. They're all called master triggers. There's GL, RM, and I believe it's PM. And when you create it in one, it'll automatically create it in the other companies. I do recommend you log into the database you want to copy from on here. I have seen a little bit of bug where sometimes it will not let you change that, but other times it will. But if you always log into the company you want to copy from, it's guaranteed to select that one for you here. Save yourself a little bit of frustration. And then when you create it, it'll automatically be imported to the databases. And so here it is, yep, RM, PM, and GL master triggers. And that's just showing the pistol tool. And I just highlight them because any of them will bring you to this. This is the same tool, it's just called the master trigger setup. And you can set up your relationship. Like I have 3 databases on my test system here. It's a GP 2013 one because it's what I have that pistol working on here. So there's 3 of them. Here's the World Online. This I created for the pistol webinars. And here's one I created for this purpose. And so you can see it's copying into each of them. Like from pistol tools, I create accounts, vendors, or customers, and any of these, it's going to copy to this one. But you don't have to enable all of them. Like here for the Scott, for this new one I created, they're not going to create new accounts. Nobody's going to have access to that, my new company here, when I get that set up. So I just let the accounts up, but I want the vendors and the customers to still be pulled over and moved over in case those are created here. And what we'll do is we'll automatically pull that. One thing to note, however, is if you use Integration Manager to bring in any of these data sets, your accounts, your vendors, your customers, and say your integration fails, they will still be created in these replicate to databases. So you'll have to go and manually delete those out. Because the Integration Manager will automatically delete them out of the company they're importing to, but it doesn't check this to delete them as well. However, since there's no transactional or balance information, for the most part, it should be easy to just go in and delete that out. Once the new database is created, it's going to need to grant users access to the database. Again, we did a user security one here that covers this, and we'll touch on this here just to show you. You can come in here to go to GP, Tools, Setup, System, and then User Access after the user's been set up. And here's what it looks like. You just highlight your user, and then you just, what they have access to. And all that does is that lets them see that company in the drop-down menu when they first log in or prompted to select the company. And then you'll also need to grant security roles. Again, GP since 10.0 has been a negative security module, meaning they do not have access unless specifically given. So you'd want to go to GP Tools, Setup, System, User Security. The security rules like this are In your Dynamics database, they're system-wide, not company-wide, so the user accesses that you should have in one company will appear in the other here. And then you just select the company and assign the roles as needed. So here, Scott, I'm going to be doing their, kind of your other payroll here. So I got admin, clerk, and clerk for the HR payroll suite. I forgot on the screen grab, I forgot to put the alternate modified forms reports ID on that drop down. That is a required field. It'll prompt you to do that if you try and click OK or save on there before you do it. And so then that's everything. And then you should be able to just go ahead and use this new company as expected. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pause for just a moment here. I'm not seeing any questions. If anyone does have anything, feel free to post it here. Okay. I'm not showing any questions and just checking the attendees. I'm not seeing any hands up here, so I hope everything that I've said so far is making sense. So what we're going to do now is hop over to our test system. And like I said, this is a GP 2013 one here. So what we're going to do, like I said, we don't want to do GP for this, because we are going to go into GP utilities. I'll pop up here. Like I said, I'll walk it through to just to the point where it defaults with the SA user. I just want to go ahead and log in. Oh, that's my bad. There we go. You can see it says welcome to utilities. The following window will guide you through the process. Next. And then you see, like I said, here's the validating product version information. This always checks to make sure GP is installed as the first thing it does. It says we're at the current version because I haven't made any changes, so clicking next. We'll bring us here, like I said, to create new company and click on process. It'll ask us for the company's name, so we're going to go like this. And there's that's how it appears in SQL, how it'll appear in GP. Again, I'm going to show you the tools later, so I'm just going to skip those for now. But I want to copy access from the pistol demo one that I had set up earlier. And here it is, confirming me to the data file, the log file names, as well as their locations. Again, recommend you can change these. There's nothing against it. It does need to end in LDF and MDF file extensions, so that is those are SQL files. But as far as the location goes, you can certainly change those out depending on where you keep them. Because I know a lot of people will have the programs around in OneDrive, but all of their important files, their data files, will be on a separate drive. SQL can do that, which is nice. So if your C drive fails, your data files are still easily recoverable. You just have to, get the new server or new hard drive up and running, and then just attach them to that new instance of SQL, and off you're running. Click next here, and then it brings us here. Again, it just again shows you all the configuration that you have up. And this is just your initial size. SQL automatically sets it up to grow here when you have it installed. Create the new devices, size. And I'm going to click cancel here. Like I said, this can take a while. And rather than just have, like I said, it's just a scroll bar that moves to the right multiple times. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit there. Now there are two things here. Like I said, rapid start. It's kind of an older thing. Again, it hasn't been released since GP 2013. I have seen reports online that it will work on later versions, but I've not seen anything official from Microsoft here. And there are ways that you can do this. You can do a configuration, which will bring up this kind of questionnaire thing here. So you click on New, and this will bring you to the menu, and this is asking where you're saving this at. So I'm just going to create a new folder on this. We'll call it Rapid Start. It does have to be an empty folder. They can't bring any other files in there or refer an error message. Click OK, and see it populates it here. Double click on it. And so you can go through and answer all your company information, post it in that way. there. The other way is, and I'll show you this here, is start migration here. And this, tells you the initial things that you need to do here. You click next. Asks for your server name. You log in normally here. And again, on this tool, if you're going to make use of it, I do recommend the SA credentials. You want to make sure you have that full power user sysadmin access to the databases. Click next, and we'll try and access Dynamics, your company's system database. Here's the name of the company one, so you want to be careful to select this one here. So again, this is the one that I created for the screenshots here, so it's blank right now. Your profile name. And then what it's going to do is going to ask you to browse to an Excel template. I'm just going to bring that up here. This is that Excel template here. Let's see if I can, that'll work. You can see here it has all kinds of tabs. Employee ID, are they active, last name, first name, social, and it tells you which table it is. This is your payroll, our UPR 00100 table, and it'll import all that information. And like I said, this one does let you do the transactions, well, your batch number, journal entry, reference, transaction date, your amounts, and your account numbers here. And it does provide a link for it as well here. Like I said, I've not seen anyone use this, but the people that I have used it do enjoy it for the most part. That it does work. It's just a lot to maintain this data. This, what I would almost say, would be more useful if you are migrating to GP and you're trying to bring in the information. You want a complete history, because a lot of times what we'll see new customers do is just do a new transaction for an account we call it balance brought forward or old system balance, and they'll just start there going forward. So they'll maintain an old one-on-one back office system for record keeping purposes, and then they will have GP going forward. And for the most part, that does keep the accountants happy from what I have seen. I've not seen any problems with that. But then I'm going to show you now here our pistol tools. Nope, that's not. Here we are. Yeah, it's still spinning there, so I'm just going to click cancel. Yes, so let's finish that. All right. And again, GP 2013 is just the test system that I do have the pistol tools on. The company copy and the master trigger tools are in 2015 and 2016. Yeah. Anytime a lot of pistol tools don't require SA access, but for something like this, we do want to make sure we are using that. So I'm just going to log into GP. We're just going to hop into Fabricam here, because this is the one that actually has data in it. This will just take a couple moments here. There it goes. I do apologize, but with the utilities, with running the utilities first to show you here, usually it's one or the other here. So we just want the GP up or the utilities first here. So normally I try and have this up to avoid these little downtimes. Yeah, Apple company. And then here's our key to act service call info. And it should be up here pretty quick. GP taskbar, just wait for everything else. All right, there we are. Sorry about that delay here. So what we're going to do, come down here, we're going to go into pistol. And it's just this one right here. It cuts off my screen a little bit. I do apologize, but it looks like 2 gears, a bigger and a smaller one. Just click on pistol being set up. And that will launch it. So now, again, it's just we want to copy. So put the radial and company copy. Click on next. And here you can do it from any company. Like I said, we're at Fabricam. This is the one that I set up, and I want to send my data my report options. Did you see that? I want to show that to you again. Data, defaulted financial. Because you need to pull that account information over. So it says when you uncheck it, is required and data report option is selected. But it doesn't automatically. Well, it did there. Okay. Report options pulls both company and financial here. And like I said, this is what I meant by the company data, the access and the way the reports behave. It's not going to make, update all so the company has the same name and address. But I want to pull everything over, so I'm going to do company financials. Inventory is going to be different, multi-currency, going to respect the same one. Payroll, this will pull over your employees and whatnot. So they can work at either store, or you just want to run it that way so you can access each system. We'll have all your pay codes and everything brought over. But again, it'll make them blank in that other company. There'll be no history there. We're doing payroll, so we're going to do that. And something else here, like bill of materials, check inventory automatically. It will not let you uncheck it if it is a required one. And when you're done, you just click process. It'll ask you a confirmation. This does take a while, again, depending on the size of your source company. If you have hundreds of accounts and thousands of customers and vendors and everything, that'll take some time to move all that information over here. So again, I'm not going to click process on that. If you have access to SQL, you can run through the test there, create a company like with the steps I've shown you, and then if you have Fabricam installed, easily just copy that over just to see how everything works. And then the other one is master triggers. Again, there's 3 of them. They all launch the same thing. It doesn't matter which one you go into. Master trigger setup. Master trigger setup. Like I said, it grays it out here, but there's been times where I've seen where it has allowed me to use this drop down, just like different companies to copy from and to. So at worst case scenario, kind of a workaround on this, you might just have to log in each company and launch the master triggers, and then just select what you want to do. Now this will not move currently existing customers over. If you have a difference in customers and you click this, it's not going to move them over for you. The only time that they get moved over is when they are created new. When you're going through the cards to create, it will automatically create them over. So if you want to create them that way, or if they already exist, that's what the company copy, little bit of a tongue twister there, tool is for. But again, the downside of that is it does delete everything in the source database after those modules. So if you don't want to lose what you have, you obviously don't want to run that. You might have to just manually create them or import them through Integration Manager or a similar tool. That is everything there for the data. And then the last one, like I said, is just the setup. And again, it's just GP, tools, setup, system, and then already create the user access, user security. If you have a system password up, it does prompt you for both of these, so you'll need that as well. So you can come in here and select what companies they have access to. If it's not checked, it doesn't appear in their drop-down menu. And you can get all of the company databases on that one menu. You just click the user, and then when you're done, just click. Okay, and then user security. This one is done by company. So we're going to go to like this one doesn't have anything here, so I can come in here. Let me a PM on this one here. If you want to see what they already have, like sign, say it didn't copy over, or you just want to see, you can just come in and display selected fields, and that'll show you what they have on other companies. So if you forgot to do that check mark, you don't have to scroll through, and these are just the defaults, your GP and our key to act here. So depending on which add-ins you might have, this list might be a lot longer as well. You don't have to scroll through each of them, you can easily just do that. And then I'm a fan of the screen grab tool. I'll just do this here. This will show me. And then I can go into change the company here, and I'll have the screenshot I can refer back to say, oh, he should have PM Agent Manager and Stakeholder for his companies here. So come back. Anytime you change the company, it does prompt you to save. You can save this card. I'll just save. again, not all required fields. Again, I could get that alternate modified forms and reports down there. And I click save instead of changing. If you change the company, it'll just change it for you here. So here's Pistol. Like I was just in Pistol. We'll change this over here. And again, I have nothing. But I remember from the screenshot, it was PM, agent, manager, stakeholder. And if you create your own, which we do recommend, or at least I do recommend, it does give you a lot more control over who can access what here. And if you need assistance with that, please let us know. And on this one here, since this is my test company, I'm also giving myself Pistol access for this tools. And again, you do need to select that. That doesn't carry from company to company. And then the roles are assigned. And then I can log into GP. I can start running my transactions. We have one question here. One moment here. I do apologize. It's kind of appearing small on my screen. Let me see if I can pop this out here. Oh, there we go. If you want to start over with your GP setup, you suggest create a new company, bring things over, and then delete and change what you want to change. That one, Cam here, is very kind of hard to give a generalized answer to. Just given a yes, that's what's recommended, or no. It would depend on a lot of your situations. It might be possible if something went wrong to do a cleanup in your current database. That way you're not losing your historical information. What I can do is state this is that if there are certain things you don't want in the new company, you can easily just go and delete them, like I said, because it doesn't have the historical and transactional information. There's no history, there's no transactions. You can just go in and delete them out of that new company. Like I said, if you want to start over with your GP setup, that's a very difficult question. And that would be something I always recommend you get probably a consultation on to find out exactly what you want to do, because there might be an easier or less drastic way than kind of wiping everything out and going forward here, because we don't want to make sure, we don't want to make sure, what I meant to say is we want to make sure that we get you exactly what you want and what's going to work the best for you with the minimal difficulty, because a lot of times these start overs can be difficult to do. So if it's something where you just wanted a cleanup, that might be another option, so we're not having to go in and reset that information. But like I said, if you're creating a new company and you don't need 10 of the 150 accounts that are being brought over, you can just bring those over and then delete those out. The system will allow you to do that. That would be my recommendation on there, because like I said, we would hate to see something happen where something goes wrong with the transfer, and then all of a sudden you're worse off for wear because you went that route. I do hope like I said, that's a very difficult one to just give a generalization to. I do apologize, and I do hope I at least let you know how it does work, at least gave you direction that if you are indeed looking for that, we can get you moving in the right direction on that one. So we're just going to pause here for just another moment or two here, see if anybody has any questions. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. I'm going to check the attendees list here just to make sure anybody doesn't have their hands up. Not seeing anything here. So I do hope this answers your questions. Like I said, it's not a thing that happens every day, but when it does occur, it's a fairly easy process to create a new company, move everything over, and get started here. I think for the screenshots, creating the company, everything took me about an hour and a half, and that's just because this test system isn't top of the line. It's a little sandbox for testing purposes here. So it's not the fastest, but I've seen database creations take about 15 minutes on really high-end servers. So a lot of it depends on your hardware, but it's not that hard. Just requires a little technical know-how, a little bit of confidence, and just the right instructions. So if anybody doesn't have any questions, what we'll do is we'll go ahead, and I think we will end this call here. I think we're scheduled to, I think it was 12:50 Central Time today here, so I'm going to give you about 10 minutes of your day back. I do hope you do enjoy that here. And then going forward, if you do have any questions here is, here's our contact information. One a little fast there, I do apologize. That's my direct email, and that's our office line. You'll speak with Sherry or some receptionist. And then there's our website as well, iscorp.biz. I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. Thank you very much. You all take care. Bye.